So we've looked at diaphragmatic breathing, and now I'm going to introduce the use of straws. So believe it or not, straws are actually a really great way of doing breathing exercises and vocal exercises. They really help balance the air and just get everything moving in the right place. It can also be actually something that's really good at helping clear your chest and clear your airways. But I should say, it's something you should be doing when you're feeling good, because it can be quite an intensive exercise. So if your lung function is lower than 50%, maybe don't do this one. See how you feel, but it may be a bit too intensive. Also, again, if you've had blood in your sputum in the last week, I would recommend you don't do this exercise. But if you're feeling well and up to it, let's give it a go, because it can be really effective. Okay, so first of all, we take a straw. So this is just an average size straw that I got from the supermarket in a box of straws. You don't want to have something that's too small, because the smaller the straw, the more intensive the airflow is, and that's not great. That can be a bit too intensive for us to be working. So start with an average size straw, or bigger if you want. And we're going to just basically put the straw in onto our lip like this, and then we're going to close our top lip around it. And it's a very loose feeling. We're not clenching like this, not at all. We want to feel nice and loose. So just practice that. Blowing into the straw, feeling the airflow. And go back again to what we were talking about before when we were talking about that piece of rope, pulling our belly button towards our tailbone. We want to go feel that airflow. Feel that relationship between the breath and the straw. And again, you've got the rope, belly button towards the tailbone. As soon as you finish the out breath, release, and the air comes back in. So let's just do a little bit of sliding around. Just a little bit of vocal experimenting. It always feels a bit random doing this stuff, and I know it is quite random, but these things are vocally effective. But I guess a lot of vocal exercises are quite odd, but hopefully you're able to do this in a place where you don't feel too bizarre, because you're standing by yourself doing it. So just practice that all the time, keeping it really nice and loose. We're now going to introduce the use of water. This is a really great exercise to do, because it's all about keeping the bubbles balanced, and actually it does require quite a lot of focus, because if you breathe too much, as you'll probably notice, the bubbles will go over the cup. So what we're going to try and do is have a really consistent level of out breath, so that when we're breathing out, the bubbles stay the same and they don't go over the cup. So as you can see, a few of mine did, so I need to focus on this now. Okay, so do the same, just keep really focused and really connected to the airflow. And then we're going to try that again. Great. Then you can play around and you can think, okay, I'm going to do it a little bit less. So you want to have like really minimal bubbles, but try and keep that consistent, and then move on to more intensive bubbles, but again, keep that consistent. And then you can move on to back to the middle and keep that consistent. So just play around with that. So less. Yeah, so that's a great one for just experimenting with how it feels with the airflow and the bubbles. This already takes quite a lot of effort, as you can see, but I'm going to move on to the next level. If you want to move on, great, feel free. If you feel like you've had enough and this has already been quite intensive, move on to the next video. So now we're going to introduce the voice. So what I'm going to get you to do is quite simply, you're going to just be doing the out breath, and then you're going to introduce the voice into it. But we'll try that in water. Okay, so. go as long as you can, and you take a nice big breath in between and then keep going with that. It's about making it work for you. So, you know, you go as far with it as you want, you can practice as much as you want, but what's really important is that you don't feel tension. So it's really like, this is about breath flow and about being really nice and relaxed and loose. So just keep making sure you're not clenching, not doing this, but you're nice and loose here, nice and loose here, and that you are really letting the sound and letting the breath and the bubbles be driven by the air, and making that relationship again, that cycle of breath, that you're feeling what's happening in your body as you're producing that airflow and you're keeping consistent bubbles.